Алло, Полесская? Да. Вы, значит, выезжаете на атомную станцию, там горит крыша третьего, четвертого блока.
Hello everyone. Our topic is the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, one of the most significant technological and human disasters in history. The disaster happened on April 26, 1986, at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near the city of Pripyat, in what was then the Soviet Union, today's Ukraine. During a late-night safety test, reactor No. 4 exploded, releasing a large amount of radioactive material into the environment. This explosion caused immediate deaths, forced the evacuation of thousands of people, and spread radiation across Europe, making it a global crisis. Our research question is, how did the Chernobyl nuclear disaster reshape scientific risks and failures, political governance, and social life? Our project focuses on the three main perspectives: social life, political decisions, and scientific impact. Our thesis statement argues that the disaster revealed how serious scientific mistakes, government secrecy, and poor crisis management deeply affected society and changed how people view nuclear risk and political authority. In this video, we will present these three perspectives through a documentary-style news report using narration and historical visuals.
From a scientific perspective, the Chernobyl disaster revealed critical failures in nuclear reactor design, operational procedures, and risk management. The explosion of reactor number 4 occurred during a safety test that was intended to examine emergency systems. However, a combination of design flaws and human errors led to an uncontrollable reaction. The RBMK reactor design lacked adequate safety features, making it highly unstable under certain conditions. As documented in reports by the ANSIER, the explosion released significant amounts of radioactive materials, including iodine-131 and cesium-137. These substances had severe effects on human health, contributing to increased cases of cancer, particularly thyroid cancer, as well as long-term environmental damage. The disaster also had widespread ecological consequences. Forests, water systems, and agricultural lands were contaminated, leading to long-term disruptions in ecosystems. The establishment of the exclusion zone further illustrates the lasting environmental impact of radiation exposure. In addition, Chernobyl transformed global scientific understanding of nuclear risk. It led to stricter international safety regulations, improved reactor designs, and greater emphasis on transparency in scientific communication. Thus, the scientific perspective demonstrates that Chernobyl was not only a technical failure, but also a turning point in global awareness of nuclear safety and environmental protection.
From a political perspective, the Chernobyl disaster exposed fundamental weaknesses in governance, particularly in relation to transparency, accountability, and crisis management. In the immediate aftermath of the explosion, Soviet authorities delayed informing the public about the severity of the situation. This lack of timely communication increased public exposure to radiation and contributed to widespread mistrust. As reflected in the Politburo meeting minutes, April 1986, government officials prioritized maintaining political stability and controlling information rather than ensuring public safety. The language used in these discussions emphasizes administrative control and secrecy, revealing how decision-making processes were shaped by political concerns. Further analysis, as discussed in Chernobyl History of Tragedy, indicates that structural issues within the Soviet political system, including centralized authority and bureaucracy inefficiency, significantly worsened the impact of disaster. The absence of transparency and open communication prevented effective responses and delayed necessary actions. Moreover, the disaster had long-term political consequences. It contributed to declining public trust in the government, and is often considered a factor that accelerated political reforms within the Soviet Union. In this sense, Chernobyl illustrates how political systems influence not only the decision-making process, but also the scale and severity of crisis.
From a social perspective, the Chernobyl disaster represents a profound human tragedy that reshaped everyday life, identity, and collective memory. Following the explosion, entire populations were forced to evacuate their homes with little warning. The city of Pripyat, once a modern and thriving community, was abandoned within days. Families were separated, personal belongings were left behind, and a sense of uncertainty dominated people's lives. As illustrated in Voices from Chernobyl, survivors describe intense emotional experiences, including fear, confusion, and grief. Testimonies from firefighters, mothers, and workers reveal how individuals were exposed to danger without fully understanding the risks. These narratives emphasize the psychological and emotional impact of the disaster, rather than only its physical consequences. In addition to immediate suffering, long-term social effects become evident over time. Communities were permanently displaced, and many individuals struggled with trauma, illness, and loss of identity. The disaster also created a lasting stigma around affected populations, particularly those exposed to radiation. Furthermore, as later journalistic accounts suggest, some individuals returned to the exclusion zone despite the risks. This phenomenon reflects human resilience and the desire to maintain a connection to one's homeland. It also highlights the complex relationship between memory, place, and identity. Overall, the social perspective demonstrates that Chernobyl was not only a technological failure, but also a deeply human catastrophe that transformed the structure of daily life and social relations.
In conclusion, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster stands as a complex and multidimensional event that cannot be fully understood through a single perspective. From a social point of view, the disaster caused long-lasting human suffering, displacement, and psychological trauma. Entire communities were forced to abandon their homes, and many individuals continued to experience the effect of loss, fear, and uncertainty for years. Personal testimonies highlight that the impact of Chernobyl was not limited to the moment of the explosion, but continued to shape identity, memory, and daily life across generations. From a political perspective, the event revealed serious weaknesses in governance, particularly in terms of secrecy, delayed communication, and lack of accountability. Official documents and historical analyses indicate that government decisions prioritized control and stability over public safety. This not only increased the scale of disaster, but also contributed to a significant loss of public trust in political institutions.
From a scientific perspective, Chernobyl exposed major flaws in nuclear reactor design and safety systems, as well as the dangers of human error in high-risk technologies. The spread of radiation across national borders demonstrated that such disasters are not limited to one country, but can have global consequences for human health and environment. Furthermore, the disaster led to long-term changes in international policies, scientific research, and safety regulations. It increased global awareness about nuclear risks and emphasized the importance of transparency, responsibility, and cooperation in managing technological systems. Overall, these three perspectives support the idea that Chernobyl was not only a technological failure, but also a major turning point in modern history. It reshaped how societies understand risk, authority, and the relationship between science, politics, and human life.